Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Priyanka is like other Priyanka, she is joining. You asked her.
Yes, it's on.
Okay. So when I shared yesterday's recording, I shared you this file, one file to start with PowerShell. How to start with PowerShell. Okay. So I'll just repeat it once again for those like who didn't do the exercise yesterday. So just 4 or 5 minutes. So when you start with PowerShell, so we have to follow these below steps which I wrote in this sheet. I've shared you it yesterday only with the yesterday's recording. Okay. So kindly follow below steps when you start up and set Windows PowerShell to manage Azure cloud environment. Okay. So we have seen yesterday that for managing the cloud environment, we have different tools or different platforms. First was first was Azure portal. Okay, we have seen portal many times. So just go to the portal, create the resources, manage the resources. That's how portal works. Okay, so first thing is Azure portal. Second is Azure Cloud Shell. Now Cloud Shell is this one. Cloud Shell is this one. So I started the today I started Cloud Shell before the class only, so that it doesn't take time to start. Okay, so I started this. And this is a Cloud Shell. So in this Cloud Shell, you can choose either PowerShell, you can choose either Bash. Okay, Bash is command line interface for Linux. PowerShell is command line interface for Windows. Okay, but PowerShell is platform independent, means in the Linux machine also you can have PowerShell. Okay, so you can install PowerShell in Linux machine also. And Bash or Linux command line interface you can install in Windows machine, but for that purpose you will be needing some software, hypervisor software. Okay, then only you can have uh, Linux in Bash. So here we'll start as first we will be seeing the exercise using PowerShell, how to create resource, how to manage resource using PowerShell. Okay, so first we'll see that. Then we'll see with Azure CLI after that. So for Azure CLI, we'll use Bash. Okay, Linux command line interface. So the commands for Azure PowerShell is different. Commands for Azure CLI is different. First one was Azure Portal. Second was Azure Cloud Shell. Third was Azure or just PowerShell. PowerShell. And fourth is Azure CLI. Azure provides a tool called Azure CLI. Okay, you can uh, work with Azure CLI commands using now Cloud Shell. So using Cloud Shell, you can use PowerShell also. You can use Azure CLI commands also. But for using PowerShell, you will be needing PowerShell command line interface. And for Azure CLI, for using Azure CLI, you will be needing Bash, Bash shell. Okay, shell. This is also shell. Okay, but this is PowerShell. This is Bash shell. Now here in the Bash shell, you can use Azure command line interface also. Azure CLI commands also, and Linux commands also. Linux commands also. So it's not necessary what you have to use. Like you can choose any one and stick to that. Just choose one and stick to that. If you are choosing PowerShell, just stick to that. Learn commands of PowerShell. If you want to learn Azure CLI commands, just stick to Azure CLI commands and use those only. If you want to stick to Linux commands, okay, just stick to Linux commands. So either of the ways you can manage your resources. You can create and manage your resources. You don't have to learn all the things. So no one will ask you why are you using PowerShell, why are you using Azure CLI, why are you using Linux or Bash shell. No one will ask you. They just want you to create and manage the resources. It's up to you what you choose, what you find it easy to do that. Okay. So no worries. All these are easy, but you have to choose one. Don't stick to all three. Just choose one. I know that you should learn and know the commands. You should just know the commands, but it's not necessary that you should stick to only one. So you can choose PowerShell also, Azure CLI commands also, or Linux commands also. So when you choose PowerShell, so for PowerShell, you can choose either PowerShell shell inside Azure Cloud Shell. Okay. So for PowerShell, you can use Azure Cloud Shell also, Azure Cloud Shell with the PowerShell in it. Okay. And you can also use Windows PowerShell, Windows PowerShell client. Okay. Client, which which maybe some of you have done yesterday. Okay. That Windows PowerShell. Doing with Azure CLI, you can again use Azure Cloud Shell, Azure Cloud Shell with Bash. Okay, with Bash. And there is one more thing, Azure CLI tool. So there is a tool. You can download this Azure CLI tool and you can use Azure CLI commands there in that tool. So this is the second method you can use. And third method, this is like independent, Azure Cloud Shell with Bash and Linux commands. Linux commands. So these are the three things you can use. Now we'll see the first exercise. So first, just quickly see these 4 or 5 steps which we have seen yesterday. So when we start with a PowerShell, when you start with a PowerShell, you have to set up that PowerShell. Okay. And to achieve this, you need to learn some PowerShell commands. So now when we start with PowerShell, so I have a Cloud Shell here. I started my Cloud Shell here. So if I run this command here, ps version table, okay, just a second, ps version, okay. See, it is saying that the version, the major PowerShell version used is 7, minor is 3. Now it is saying major and minor because it can support commands from the minor version also. Till when? It can support till 3. Okay. Below that it will not support. So if you run commands from 2 or 1, it will not support. Okay. So it can support till 3. So major is 7, minor is 3, and the patch applied as of now, current patch on which it is running is 6. Okay. Oh, it can give you like this also. If you do like this, see, can give you the information like this also. Okay. See, now earlier it was given different like table in the tabular format 736. Here it's written like 7.3.6. Okay, now you can understand that major version is 7, minor version is 3. Okay, so as in the application you create some application, so you created the version 1.2, and 1 is the major version, 2 is the minor version. Okay, like that. 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1. Similarly, the PowerShell version is 7.3.6. Okay. Edition is core. Now, what edition? This is core edition. Since it is running on the Cloud Shell, so core edition. Other edition is the desktop edition. Other edition is the desktop edition. This one. Okay. So if I type here, what PS version table. See. So here the edition is desktop. Okay. This one. Operating system here, so which is supported. So architecture on which this is running is Linux. Platform is Unix. Okay. So all these things. To create and manage Azure resources, you need to install Azure module. Check if Azure module is installed or not. So what I'll do, I'll check this. Okay. See, now Azure module is already here because I'm running this on the Cloud Shell. But if I go and run the same thing here in my PowerShell, so there is no Azure module. It is not displaying anything because I am not set up. I have not installed the module, so it is not giving anything. So when you go and install, so first you check and see the list whether Azure module is available or not. But if it's not available, then again go here, set the PowerShell execution policy first. Okay. So when you go, so you can set the execution policy. So what is execution policy? Now there are different users in the PowerShell. Okay. So whatever the commands I'm providing you here is the standard commands to set PowerShell. Okay. So after this, after checking all this, then you can set the execution policy. Means whosoever the user is logged into the system. Okay. Whosoever is the user who is logged into the system, that user should have the first priority to run the PowerShell commands in the PowerShell script. Okay, that is the execution policy. So we get the execution policy first. Get execution policy. Okay, so let's see this also, what it gives here. Okay, see, machine policy remote signed, user policy undefined, process undefined, current user undefined. Why undefined? Because I've not set up here anything. Okay, now if we check here, see, it is all unrestricted. There is no restrictions here. There is no restrictions in the Cloud Shell. Why? Because I am the only user using this Azure Cloud Shell. Okay, or this is my personal Azure account. That's why everything is unrestricted here. Okay, so you have seen different execution policies here in Cloud Shell. Here you don't have to set anything. In the Cloud Shell, you don't have to manage or set anything. It comes by default with all the settings. So those who will use this Cloud Shell, don't set anything. Don't run all these commands. Just run these commands for checking the version, checking the module. That's it. Nothing else. Don't run all these execution policies here in the Cloud Shell. Okay, this is just to set a local PowerShell or Windows PowerShell. Okay, so if you start with Windows PowerShell, then you can set that. Why I'm saying that? If you don't want to open the portal, then it's fine. You can just open Windows PowerShell, set all these things, and you can use PowerShell from here, Windows PowerShell. You don't have to open the Azure account. Okay. Set the PowerShell execution policy to remote signed. Now, again, I'm saying Windows PowerShell. Those who are using Windows PowerShell, they can set this execution policy. Remote signed scope current user means the user who is the current user who is currently signed into the system. Execution policy should be set for that user. Okay. Otherwise, it will set the execution policy for all other users who will be logged into the system. So that's why scope, who is the scope? Current user is the scope. For me, what I'm using the system, do it for me. Okay. To manage Azure cloud environment, you need to install AZ module in your Windows PowerShell. Okay. So use the install module. Now, this is the install module you will use. Install module -name AZ-repository PS gallery. Okay. Now, yesterday when we were installing a module like install module -name AZ, so it was downloading and installing from an unauthorized repository. That's why it was giving some warnings and all. So PS gallery is provided from Microsoft only. So that's why this is the repository where all the PowerShell modules are there. So whenever you have to download some module or install some module in the PowerShell, just use this PS gallery repository. Okay, you'll find all the PowerShell modules here in this PS gallery. So here we are installing AZ module. So install module -name AZ-repository PS gallery force. Okay. Now after this, now you have already installed this or you have installed this. Maybe there is some update. Maybe there is some update in the AZ module. So to update, just run this one. So after installing, just run this update module AZ. Okay. So this is just an extra step to make sure that everything is updated in that AZ module. Okay. Just an extra step. So these all steps are for Windows PowerShell. I'm again telling that these all steps are for Windows PowerShell, not Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is by default coming with all the setup. You don't have to do anything. To start managing your Azure resources with the AZ PowerShell module, launch a PowerShell session. Okay. So those who will be using the PowerShell can launch this Windows PowerShell session. First run all these commands. And then once everything is set, just launch this run connect AZ account. Now those who have run all this, set up the Azure module, just run connect AZ account, this command, to sign into the Azure. So it will open a browser window. Once you run this command, it will open a browser window. And that browser window will ask you to log in. So once you logged in, you will be able to connect this Azure account in the PowerShell. Use your Azure account login credential. Later, I'll tell you how to log in without credentials. How to log in passwordless. I'll tell you that. Okay. As of now, we are starting learning all these things. So just use this Connect AZ account. Okay. You will need to repeat this step for every new PowerShell session. So when you start every new PowerShell session, so if you close this window, PowerShell window, again you open new window, you have to again do Connect AZ account, because by default you will not be logged in. Okay. So again, new session and you have to start with new. So this is the step, Connect AZ account. Then after you logged into your system, so to check whether you have been logged into your system or not, just check some commands, run some AZ commands. What commands? Get is your subscription. So it will tell you about all the subscriptions. So as I am using the Cloud Shell and I am already connected to my account. Okay. So if I do clear means to clear the screen. Clear is to clear the screen. Okay, just simple command, clear, CLEAR. Now, if I run here, I'm already connected to my account. I paste this get AZ subscription. Now, in the Cloud Shell, you can see it is providing you that I can say extra strings. Okay, so
Intelligent.
yeah. So you can see, you can write the subscription ID. Now I'm using get easy subscription, so it will give me subscription name, subscription ID, whatever subscriptions are available. But if I want details of some particular subscription, I have to give the subscription ID. Okay, so as of now, it will display only free trial subscription. Okay, now this is the subscription ID here. Let me see that. This here over here. Where is the subscription ID? Subscription ID is here. Okay. So now, if I run here, okay. See, I pasted the subscription here. Okay. Tenant ID, I think also have to give. Then only it will show. Or just one thing. Okay. Now, why it is not showing everything? Because I'm not asking. So there is an operator. There is an operator here. I cannot tell you about that operator as of now because we are starting here. So there is a pipeline operator. This is a pipeline operator. So if I'll ask to show the object means whatever there inside the subscription, whatever details are there inside the subscription. So if I go to this free trial subscription, so definitely there are some objects. Okay. So if I see the overview in this subscription, see subscription ID is there, default directory, account admin, offer ID, everything. So there are many number of things, parent management group, everything. So this description, this have to show. Now why it is not showing? Because I have not asked it to. So there is a pipeline operator. We say it pipeline. So you have seen many operators. So maybe I don't know if you have learned some languages or any kind of scripting or not, but if it's your first time, I can tell you there are operators in every language. What are these operators? So there are different kinds of operators, like arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators. Okay. Then there are logical operators. Logical. So what are arithmetic operators? So when you do some calculation things like plus, minus, okay, some arithmetic operations, divide, what is that? I think this one, and then multiply. So asterisk is used for multiplication. in the computer language, okay, or system language. Asterisk means multiply. Okay, so these are the, you can say, arithmetic operators. Now logical operators. What are logical operators? Logical operators which we use and, or, not, this is equal to this, this is equal, this is not equal to this. So that kind of operators are called logical operators. So here we use it differently. So for equal operator, equal to means if I want to write this is equal to this, okay, so I'll write equal. Then if I want this is less than this, so less than LT. Then this PowerShell is very simple. You don't have to do anything. Like, it's just by the language we are speaking, like that only we have all the things. You just have to remember. Okay. So equal to operator means we are saying that this is equal to this, or we have to prove something. Okay, this is equal to this. Then we will be using equal operator. We have to prove that this is less than this. So we'll use hyphen LT, less than operator. Then if we want to use that something is less than equal to, so we'll write hyphen less equal. Then you can write greater equal. Okay, so G, greater equal, with a hyphen. Now this is all equivalent to this thing what we write in maths. Okay, equal to. Then less than we write. How we write the less than? We write something like this, less than, right? Then greater than. Then less than equal to. Less than equal to. Or you can write greater than equal to. So these are the operators in maths. But here in PowerShell, we'll define it like this: equal, less than, less equal, greater equal, like that. Similar kind of operator is a pipe operator. So there is a pipe symbol in your system. Above the enter button in your laptop, there is a straight line symbol. There is a tilt symbol, this type, and above that there is a pipe symbol. If you can see, if you all can see in your laptop. Everyone can see that symbol in the laptops. Above
Yes.
the enter button, there are two
Yes.
symbols. Okay. So the symbol, the above symbol in that button, that is a pipe operator, and you can use that symbol using shift button. So when you press shift and press that button above enter, it will give you that symbol. Now this is the pipeline operator. This symbol is called pipeline operator. Pipeline operator. Okay. Now what this pipeline operator does, when I write some command and I want some output with first command. So I've written first command here, first command, and I want to give the input of that command to other command. Means if I put a pipe here and write a second command. Now result of the second command depends on the first command. Result of the second command depends on the first command. So then we use pipe operator. So using the result of the first command, we are giving this result to the second command, and using that result, second command is giving some result which we need. So then we use this pipe operator. So that is the pipe operator. Okay. The reason I have to tell you this thing in middle, because Otherwise, I put somewhere in the pipe operator and you will say, okay, what is this? Okay, that's why I explained what are operators in. So any language is made up of any scripting language or any language. Okay, so any language is having variables. Variables, I told you yesterday that it is a unit of memory. We store something in the variable. Okay, and how we store that I also showed you. Okay, if dollar VM name is there, then we'll give the name to that VM. So we stored that name. So my first VM, we stored this name. That is the VM name. Okay. So any language may have variables. Then it also have operators. So I told you about operators here. What are operators? These are the operators, arithmetic operators, logical operators, these kind of operators. Then variable operators, and then some libraries also there. Libraries. Now these libraries are provided by PowerShell only. There are some predefined functions in the library. Predefined functions. Okay. So if I want to use some predefined function, okay, these are libraries which are provided. Libraries, binaries. Okay. So like we use some command for PowerShell that is inside the module. Okay. But if I use clear command, that is universal. Clear command is universal. So it is predefined. Clear command is predefined. Okay, that it will clear the all the it will clear your screen. Okay. So all these kind of functions, everything, commands which we use, everything is defined inside the libraries. Okay. So variables, operators, libraries, these things. As of now, we are just starting. We are learning commands only. So every other thing, like there are loops. We use loops to run a PowerShell script. Okay. And apart from loops, there are different, like there is a for loop, there's a while loop, everything. So there are different loops. So why we use loops, I'll not tell you here because it will take time. Okay. So as of now, just stand that there are variables, operators, libraries, these things, and there are most important thing, there is commands. Okay. And these commands, we call it in PowerShell, we call it commandlets. CMDLETS, commandlets. So whenever anyone asks like commandlet, that don't get confused. Commandlet means commands. Okay, PowerShell commands. So we in Linux we don't say commandlets. It's only in PowerShell. Commands we say commandlets. Okay, PowerShell commandlets. So you have to search any command, just search with commandlets, PowerShell commandlets. PowerShell commandlets for Azure VM, PowerShell commandlets for Azure storage, PowerShell commandlets for, you can search like that in the Google. Okay. You will get all the commands related to VM. If you search for VM, you will get all the commands related to storage. You will get all the commands related to any other resource. Just write commandlets. Okay. Now we have seen this thing. So when we are doing this get subscription here, so we are getting the details of the subscription. If I want to get further details, then what we have to do? We have to show the object. We have to show the object. Okay. What objects? Now there are different objects if we do a get subscription. And those objects are ID, tenant ID, and all other details like this tenant is enabled or any other thing. Okay, just a second. Huh? So apart from subscription, we can check if there are any resource group. So get hyphen az. Now, whenever you write a command, so you are using az module now. So you have to write az first. Then only you can you will get that command. So if I type r, now it is giving role assignment. I can check role assignment also, but I want resource group. Resource group. See, get resource group. So see, three resource group it gave Cloud Shell storage, which we created for this starting this Cloud Shell. Then Network Watcher resource group, and see the location is Central India. Okay, Central India. Test resource group Central India. Okay, so this is showing. So running all these commands, you can confirm that in your Windows PowerShell, your module is or you have connected to Azure environment or not. Okay, I'll see just that particular exercise. So these all things you can try by yourself. I have uploaded already. I uploaded this file. You can start your PowerShell session and you can see all these things. Okay. Now we'll start with lab today. Okay, and continuing like uh, from today to the next week, whole next week, we are doing around 9 to 10 labs. Okay, labs for all the resources which we have known in Azure fundamentals. So we are just starting from here. So we'll do the labs using PowerShell command. We will use the lab using Azure CLI command. So this is the one example you can see. Later on, you can choose how you have to use, what you have to use. You have to use PowerShell command or CLI command or Linux command, whatever you want to use, whatever platform or tool you want to use, you can use. It's up to you. But we'll see example with each and everyone, everything. Okay. We'll see with PowerShell commands also. We'll see with Azure CLI commands also. Okay. So, and we'll see how to install CLI tool also. Okay. That is in the lab. That is in the lab. So first lab is this one using PowerShell. Now in the lab, it is given that you can name this. So why this naming convention? Because in the organization, the naming convention is like this only. You can see. So as of now here, there is no project. We are learning AZ104 Azure admin. So here the name taken is AZ104. Now this is not the name I have taken by myself. Whatever there is mentioned in the lab, okay, provided by Microsoft. Okay, so I've taken from there only. So AZ104. Yeah, I have manipulated these numbers. Okay, because they have used some other numbers 3, 4, 5, 6 according to their lab. But and they have started from somewhere else. I'm starting from PowerShell. That's why I've taken one because I've creating first resource. Okay. So this is AZ104001A RG01. Then I have to create a disk also. Now here what we are doing, we'll create the Azure resources using PowerShell, and then we'll manage the resources. So what resources we'll create? First, we'll create a resource group. First, we'll create a resource group, and then inside that resource group, we'll create a disk. Okay, we'll create a disk. This is the resource group, and this is the disk. And then we'll manage the disk. Now, this disk may be of size like 32 GB, and it must having a SKU. SKU means standard LRS. LRS. LRS means local redundant storage. Okay, standard LRS. So what is managing? What is managing? So managing means update the disk. Okay, or any other resource. Here we are using disk, so we'll update the disk. How you will update? Change the size and SKU. Okay, change the size and SKU. SKU means architecture of this or of that disk, physical architecture, whether it is standard disk or premium disk or any. So we'll change the disk from 32 to 64, and we'll change the SKU from standard LRS to premium LRS. We'll change it to premium disk. Okay. So this is the exercise here. I'm doing here. You just go back. I'll upload this file also. You just go back and practice at your end. Okay. Now, when I start, what I have to do? First, I have to define the variables, right? Because I have to create the resources for that thing, I have to define the variables. Okay. Now, how can I define a variable? So if I go here, if I write location, so I'll define the location. In which location I have to create this. Now, when I say about location, I can give the location here, right? Central India. Central India. So this is the location I have defined here. Now, you can also do one thing here. If you have created some resource group, and if you want to create another resource group in the same location which you have created earlier, the resource group which you have created earlier in some location, you can create this resource group in the same location also. For that thing, you have a different command. You have a different command. As of now, I don't have to use that. So if you want to use that, then you can use this command for location. What it will do? It will get the resource group location. So I already have a test resource group created. So that's why I've written a command here. Get resource group -name test resource group dot location means which location I want to get, the location of the last resource group which I created. The location of the last resource group which I created. So in that way, I can take the location of any other resource group if I want. And first thing is, you can create the location variable like this also. Central India, South India, any location. Okay. So you can either do this, directly set the location, or directly give the variable of that particular location, or you can take the location from any other resource group like here I have mentioned. So you can do this first or this. Okay. I'll put an or in between. Okay. So that is not confusing. Okay. First one or second one. And this third command is different. Okay. Third command is different. There is a separation here. So either first command for newly setting up the resource location, or if you have already have a resource group, then you can use this command. Test both the commands. Test both the commands so that you can get an idea. So here I set Central India here. Okay. Because my test resource group is also from Central India. Okay. So I'm setting this up. Now, other thing, I have to set the variable for my resource group. Variable for my resource group. Now, I'll take another variable, my RG, resource group. Again, put all these things inside colon. Okay. Sorry, inside the code, inside the codes. Okay. So AZ104 hyphen 01A, okay, hyphen, this is the resource group, so RG01. So we'll check this AZ10401A RG01. So you can see here AZ104-01A hyphen RG01. Now I have to create a new resource group. Now when I'm saying that I have to create a new resource group, so what I'll do, I've defined these two things, location and resource group. Now I want to create a new resource group. So what will be the command? What will be the command? New hyphen AZ resource group. Then space, then hyphen, then name, then space. Then now it is giving me if I create with the new name and all. So it will do like that. Okay. Hyphen name, resource group 1, all that. But I have already defined. Now the best practice is to define the variables earlier. Best practice is to define the variables earlier. Do not use like this, what it is suggesting as of now, because you can make mistakes using this. So it is suggesting that hyphen name you can create with resource group 01 hyphen location central US. Using this, you can make mistakes. So to not make mistakes, let's define the variables first. So that when you're defining the variables at the top, you can see, okay, we are creating in this location, we are creating this resource group. So even if you have not run this command, new AZ resource group, and you can see, okay, I put the resource group name as different. You can go back and change your variable. You can go back and reset your variable, right? So again, how to reset? You don't have to do anything. Just define again a new variable for RG. So by default, it will take the new variable. It will not take the old variable name. Okay. So using that, you can change your variable also. So hyphen name, and what name we have given? So we have defined the name in variable. So I'll write RG because I've defined there. Then hyphen location. Now what location I'll take? I'll take dollar location because I've defined the location in location variable. Now, if you go here in the command section, you can see this new AZ resource group hyphen name hyphen RG hyphen location, everything. Now I'll put an enter. See, my resource group is created now. Okay. AZ10401A RG01 Central India succeed. See, today's class we starting lab, so I'll go slow. Okay. From tomorrow, I'll remember that, okay, I have in yesterday's class, I have taught you all the basics, being slow, going slow. Okay. From tomorrow, we'll do labs like quickly. Okay. Not very much quick, but yeah, at least 2 labs we'll do in a day. Otherwise, we'll be lagging behind. Okay. So that's why today I'm like starting it slow or going slow. Okay. So that you can understand everything. So
Abhishek,
resource.
yeah, sorry for interruption.
Mhm.
So Abhishek, actually my command not working in like in PowerShell, and I've also tried with CLI,
Mhm.
but some command not working on that. So
CLI commands I have not
it's not
told you as of now.
no, PowerShell actually
Cloud Shell, you are saying. You tried in
Cloud
the
Shell.
Cloud
Yes,
Shell.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Cloud Shell I've
Mhm.
also tried,
Mhm.
but in Cloud Shell also not working.
Okay, we'll see after the class. Just after the
Okay,
class, 5 minutes you share the screen. We'll see. Okay, after
okay,
9:30.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Yes, yes.
So AZ, this is the resource group we created. Now you have to check the resource group. How you will check? Get hyphen AZ resource group. Get hyphen AZ resource group. Now what is the variable? Hyphen name RG, $RG, that variable which I said. So this will display me my resource group which I created. See, means it is confirmed that we have created a resource group. So for confirming anything, just type get hyphen az, whatever the resource group. Get az resource group hyphen name, that variable. Now we have confirmed it. Now second step, what we have to do? We have to create a disk now. We have to create a disk now because our task was to create a resource group. Inside that we have to create a disk, and then what we have to do? We have to manage that particular disk. So for creating the disk, so as of now, what we did, we for creating a resource group, we defined some variables, right? So for creating the disk also, we have to define some variables, right? So for doing that, we need some variable. What variable we'll be needing? Disk config means we have to set disk configuration. We have to set disk configuration. So for that purpose, what we have to do? We have to set the variable for disk config. Now, what disk config you can set here? What disk config you can set here? So if I talk about disk config means disk configuration. What disk configurations we can have? First is disk name. Disk name. Correct. Then location. But location we already set, right? Then in which resource group you have to create? So resource group also we have set earlier, okay, with the $RG, dollar location, $RG, everything is set there. So we'll not repeat this. We'll not repeat this. We'll just set the disk name in disk config. Okay. Then size of the disk you will set. Whatever. What else you will set? SKU, right? SKU will set. Okay. Anything else? Anyone can answer anything else if we have to set apart from disk name, location, resource group, size, because we are creating a disk here. So we'll be needing some configuration to set up that disk. Disk name, location, RG, size, SKU. Okay. These are the, now if we see the commands, okay. If we see the commands, see disk config. In the disk config, so we are doing some new configurations here. So we have set up a variable for disk config here. Okay. Then there is a location. See, now here we didn't define the location as another variable because we are taking it from the first one only, location variable. Then create option. Create option. Now there is a create option. So we are creating an empty disk. So that's why the create option. So I forget to mention here, like you have to create option also. Create option. This you have to mention whether the disk you are creating is empty or you are creating with some predefined configurations. Okay, so we'll create an empty disk here. Okay, so empty. Then disk size. So disk size is defined in GB. That's why they mentioned disk size GB. Okay, and then the SKU, standard LRS. SKU is standard LRS. Okay. Now disk config equals new hyphen az disk config. New hyphen az disk config. Is my command right? Let's see. New hyphen az disk config. Okay. Now disk config here should be capital. Az disk config. So please make sure that whatever is there, these are all are case sensitive sometimes. Okay, these things are case sensitive sometimes. Maybe I have not checked that as of now whether it is not or not, but like whatever they have given as the PowerShell command, you have to run this command. Just try that one only. Whatever you find, just be case sensitive. Okay, maybe some of you will get error if there is if you are not case sensitive. We have seen it yesterday many times that if we are not case sensitive or anything is different, so it does not take the command, right? So please be very careful while running the commands. It may be case sensitive sometimes. Okay, so new az disk
Like,
config.
yeah.
Yes.
Small doubt. New AZ resource group hyphen name
Mhm.
dollar Raji location dollar location. If I provide that one, then it says the confirm provide resource group already exists. Are you sure want to update it? Yes or no? Suspended. But I have created the resource group there. It is this command there.
Mhm. So you
Oh,
created
but
a resource group, you created a disk also.
not yet create the disk.
Mhm.
Only resource group only I have created.
Mhm.
I have, after that I check the subscription, new subscription. I mean the new resource group subscription.
Mhm. So get hyphen az resource group hyphen name and that variable resource group name variable.
Yeah.
Using that you can check
Okay.
here at the second.
Okay.
Yeah, you can check that.
Yeah. First one. Okay, then I will check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then hyphen location. What location? Dollar location. Okay. We have already set in the resource group. Then the second thing was create option, right? What was that? Create option. Okay. Empty disk it is. Now size, right? Size of the disk. So disk size GB. Okay. GB 32. Okay. And then the last one is SKU, I think. You see SKU. Okay. So hyphen SKU. SKU. What is the SKU? Standard LRS. Standard underscore LRS. Okay, this is how we define the SKU tier basically. So let's see. standard underscore LRS. Correct. Anything left? Okay. Set this. Okay. Now disk configuration is all set. What is the main thing which is left now? What is the main thing? Disk name which is left, I think. See, disk name is left. Okay. So again, in quotes, AZ104 hyphen 01A hyphen. Now there it was RG01 for resource group. Here it will be disk 01 for creating the disk. Now disk name is also set. Now what I want to do? I want to create a new disk. I'll create a new disk. I'll just do a new hyphen AZ disk. New hyphen AZ disk. I have to create a new disk. Inside the resource group, RG, which I have defined earlier. How I want to create? With the disk name, hyphen disk name. What is the disk name I defined? Dollar disk name. In this variable, I have defined the disk name. And with what configurations? Hyphen disk config. Whatever the configurations I defined in disk config, with that, I'll create this disk. Now let's check that command. New AZ disk. Resource group name is RG. Okay, resource group is RG. Now here it is showing RG name. You can write that variable, but from the beginning I have taken the resource group as $RG, not RG name. So I'll not write RG name. You can do that. You can, but when you can do that, when from the beginning only you have defined that variable as RG name. Okay, then only. Otherwise, whatever variable you have taken capital RG, then it's fine. But everywhere you have to define that variable only, or everywhere you have to use that variable only which you have defined earlier here. So see, in the sheet I have defined RG name as variable, but here I've done it as RG. Okay. So this is the command: new AZ disk, resource group, disk name, and see, you are seeing these things. Okay, just ignore these things. Don't take these things while running the commands, because this is by default coming in Notepad. Okay, so don't take these. Okay, don't take these. Disk name, then disk config. So everything is perfect here. I'll do an enter. See, my disk is created now. My disk is created. So in this resource group, then this is the SKU of that, then 32 GB of disk. In bytes, it is this size. In GB, it is 32 GB. Unique ID of the disk succeeded, means my deployment is succeeded. Disk IOPS speed is 500. Read speed is 60. Okay. Now disk state is unattached, means I have not attached that disk to any VM. Now this is also one lab. We'll attach any disk to any VM, right? So this disk is as of now unattached. Okay. Then ID. This is the ID of that disk. Disk name is AZ104018 disk 01. Type of disk Microsoft.compute disk. Okay. Central India. Network policy as of now is allow all. Why it is allow all? Because I have not defined any parameters for network policy. I have not defined any parameters for network policy. That's why it is allow all as of now. Public network access is enabled. Anyone can go and access this disk. I have not disabled the public network access. So these are the parameters. Whatever you are seeing now, these are parameters. Resource group name, managed by, this all thing. Now, whenever you give any command, you can define all these parameters. Means this is the command. Here, if I do hyphen public network access. So you are seeing on the left hand side, these are parameters, public network access. What I can do this to this public network access? What I can do? Deny all. I can do it deny all. It is enabled as of now for public network. I can do it deny it all. But as I've created this as of now, I cannot do this. I can do this only when I'm creating the disk. Okay. So I can do this deny all. So these are all parameters which I can define and I can create a disk. Okay. So now disk is created. Now I have to check the disk. I'll check resource group name and with the disk name. So get AZ disk, resource group name and disk name, right? See, this is the disk I've created. Now I have to manage the disk. So what command I'll use to manage the disk? Can anyone? What command I'll use to manage this?
This config.
No, for managing, I have to change. See, I have to change this 32 GB. I have to do it for like 60 GB or 64 GB. So any update command will be needed, right? Any update command will be needed because I have to update this, right? Am I wrong? I have to update. So I'll be needing an update command for this. So see, now I have to configure this manage disk using PowerShell. So new AZ disk update config. New AZ disk update config. Okay. So now see. Here new AZ disk update config. This is the command. New AZ disk update config. What I have to update? I have to update the size. So what I'll do? Disk size GB, because the size was in GB. Now I have to update it from 32 to 64. What I'll do? 64 here. Now this I have to update. Where I have to update? Where I have to update this new AZ disk? So I'll use a pipe operator. Now I have to update it in where? The disk I already created. The disk I already created. Okay. See, new -AZ disk config, this one, and then what I have to run? Update. I have to update the disk also because I'm updating the configuration. So I have to update the disk also. So what I'll do? Update hyphen disk. Okay. Which disk? Hyphen resource group. Which resource group? rg hyphen disk name. Which disk name? Disk name, because I have given the variable as it is. So update disk, then resource group, then disk name. Here I forgot that hyphen. Okay. Now we can check this command. So new az disk update config hyphen disk name 64. Then I've used the pipe operator because this update configuration I am giving to this disk which I already created, and I am doing an update az disk. Okay. Hyphen resource group name hyphen disk name. Okay. Just one more thing. Az disk here. Okay. Now once this is done, what is the size? 64 GB now. Size is 64 GB now. Other thing what I have to update. I have to update the SKU of this disk. I have to update the SKU of this disk. What was the SKU? We have set standard LRS, right? We have set the standard LRS. So we'll update it to premium. Okay, we'll update it to premium. So again I have to update. Now here new az disk update config. So we have updated the disk size here. Now we'll update the again same command, but there must be some difference here. What difference? Now maybe some of you, I don't know if you are some of you knowing this or not, how this command is coming. I'm not sure everyone knows, right? So I'm telling, just there is an arrow, 4 arrows are there in your laptop. Okay, upwards, downwards. Okay, so just put an upward arrow, click on that upward arrow, and you will get the previous command. Okay, so this is the previous command. Now what I have to update? SKU. What SKU? Premium underscore LRS. See, new update is SKU premium underscore LRS. Update the disk. Okay. Now there is one more thing I forgot to do. Because this SKU is not showing in this detail, right? This SKU detail does not show here. So how you will see using PowerShell? In the portal, you can see directly, okay, what SKU is there. But in portal, then you have to run one command, get hyphen az disk. Which disk you want to get? Hyphen resource group. Which resource group? $RG. And what is the name of your disk? Hyphen disk name dollar disk name. Okay, this is the disk, I think. And what you want to check? SKU. I want to check SKU for this disk. See, standard LRS. As of now, it is standard LRS. I have to change it to. I'll put an upward arrow 2 times to get the previous commands, because previous one is this one now, and if I click it once more, upper arrow, I'll get the old command. Now I can change here. See, I don't have to put commands again and again. I can press arrow, I can get that earlier command, right? So it PowerShell stores memory also. So till what time, or if this PowerShell opens for 1 hour, 2 hour, it will maintain all the memory for the commands which you used. Okay. So you don't have to type the commands every now and then. SKU, what SKU? Premium underscore LRS. I'm updating the SKU as well. Okay. Now this is premium LRS. Enter. Updated. Now I'll again press 2 times and I'll use the last to check the SKU of that disk. Now it is premium LRS. Premium tier disk. Earlier it was standard tier disk. Now it is a premium tier disk. So we have completed this scenario of lab 1. Like we created a resource group. Under that we created a disk. Then we manage the disk. So we have seen what commands we use to manage the disk, right? What commands we use to manage the disk. I'll give you a sheet of all the PowerShell commands. I'll give you a sheet of all the PowerShell commands and the combination, with what combination you use those PowerShell commands. I'll give you a sheet later. Okay. As of now, I'm giving the main sheets, these sheets which is used for lab. After that, I'll give you a single sheet for all the PowerShell commands. You can every time when you want to use any PowerShell command, you can refer the sheet. Okay. As of now, I have not created that. I'll create it by today or tomorrow, and I'll give you that whole sheet. So whenever you want to create or manage any resource, you can just refer that sheet. Okay, just refer that sheet if you need anything else. Later on, when you practice again and again, then you don't have to refer that sheet. The commands will be automatically you will learn by heart. No worries. Okay, so these are PowerShell commands. So it's 9:30 as of now, because some of you, I think Rajiv was saying that they have to go for office, so they need some time. So let's have strict time from tomorrow, maybe 8:10. Okay, 8:10 or 12. That's it maximum. Please join by then, and then we'll start so that we can strictly finish at 9:30, because some of you may have to go office. I know that. So that we can learn for 1 hour or 1 hour 20 minutes. That's it. No worries to take more load, because I'll teach you this PowerShell lab, and then again if I'll teach you command line lab, this Azure CLI lab, then it will be difficult to differentiate between the commands. So today you learned PowerShell commands, so just practice the PowerShell commands. Tomorrow we'll learn the CLI commands, then just practice the CLI commands. Otherwise, you will get confused between PowerShell commands and CLI commands. Okay. So, and again, I'm saying that you don't have to worry that you have to learn both. You can concentrate only in one, because in your organization, only one thing will be used. Okay. And that will be decided by you, what you have to use. No one will question you there. Okay, why are you using PowerShell? Use Azure CLI. No one will question that, because they just want the result. Okay, nothing else. So everything is approved here. Azure CLI commands are also approved. PowerShells are also approved. No one will question. You can use any. Even someone is using Linux machine, and he's thorough in Linux, then he may use Linux commands also. I'll tell you Linux commands also. No worries. So you can handle it through Linux also. Linux, Azure CLI, PowerShell, anything. So today, just I'll put this sheet in your recording today. Just go through this sheet and just try this at least 2 times or 3 times. Just try this again and again. And
Yeah.
it's not like that I have asked you to change this thing, disk size or premium LRS. You can find some other things also. If that can be changed, you can try to change that also in the disk. So
Yeah.
it's up to you. This exercise is up to you. Okay. You just find other things, what can be changed, what else can be changed in the disk. Just use this command az disk update config and change those things. Okay. And if you don't understand, just go through recording once. You will get everything. Okay. So I'll stopping the recording here, and you can ask questions. So whoever want to stay, you can stay and ask
Yeah.
questions. Okay.